This video is sponsored by TypeSense. If you want to know about TypeSense, they're basically the Algolia search she tells you not to worry about. It's the open source version of let's say Algolia, which is the main competitor. Being open source gives you the option to not having to pay a monthly fee, which, by the way, it's much better, in my opinion, to Algolias, because you don't pay for records. You pay for a flat fee, and also you pay for bandwidth, which I believe it's a better option. So you don't pay for records, you just pay a flat fee. We're going to see about the pricing in a moment. Also, like I said, since it's open sourced, you can decide, I don't want to pay any fee, I'm going to run it on my own. I'll take the burden of the infrastructure and the server and the bandwidth. You can take your project, you can take TypeSense, install it on your own server, and run it on your own. Fully free and open source. When you pay for TypeSense, is because you're using TypeSense Cloud. So you don't have to deal with servers and infrastructure. And even then, the fee, I believe, it's much more friendly. But this project, we are going to use another option, which is we are going to install it locally, which is something that you can do. If you want to try it out, if you want to test it on your own environment, you can do that. And that's what we are going to do. Let's go through the documents, through the requirements of this new project and what we are going to build. We're going to build the artisan chef. By the way, just full disclosure, I'm using AI, or I'm using Gemini to generate a few things for the project that will serve as a guide and inspiration, but are not going to be used at face value. For example, the requirement documents that you're seeing right now was created with Gemini, which I think it's rather complete and very simple. So, like I said, the Artisan Chef is supposed to be a single-page web application designed to be minimalist with high performance, and it's going to demonstrate how seamless you can integrate Laravel Scout with TypeSense. The core features are going to be instant search with a primary bar or search bar where you can search by title and ingredients, and all of the results will be automatically updated as you type. Also, one of the features that I like the most about TypeSense, it's typo tolerance, which means that you can miss a letter, you can have a typo on your search term, and you're still getting the results that you wanted. For example, you can type chicken without the C, you still get results for chicken, properly spelled. You also have faceted filtering. You not only can search by some terms, you can also filter by some of the data in your database. In this case, you can refine the recipe list by in real time by selecting one or more of the following filters, either cuisine, difficulty, or preparation time. All of the interaction in the UI are going to be made using Laravel Livewire. That will allow us to fully refresh the search results without requiring a full refresh of the web page. And also we're going to use a database seeder. In this case, it's going to be very simple, just to include some data in the database, which we're going to be using SQLite. So in summary, we're going to use Laravel 12. For the front end, we're going to use Livewire. For the search engine, we're going to use Laravel Scout, integrating TypeSense, SQLite for the database, and Tailwind CSS for the styling. I'm not going to use Flux UI in this project. I want it to be as broadly available as possible, so I'm not going to use something that requires a license to make. I'm going to use plain old Tailwind CSS. Now, talking about data, the application will be centered around a single recipe model, and the database structure is going to be a title, ingredients. Both of these are going to be searchable, which is different than filterable. And we also have cuisine, difficulty, and prep time in minutes. All of these three fields, are going to be filterable. The user flow of the application will be, again, extremely simple. You only have one single page with a search bar at the top. You also have a certain amount of filters that you can choose from. And as soon as you start typing on the search bar, results will be automatically refreshed without a full refresh of the web page. You can also re-render the search results using the filters. As soon as you click on a filter, the list of recipes should also be automatically updated. And once you clear the search and go back to its original state, all of the original recipes or an original list of recipes should be displayed. That is basically what we are going to create in the next following sessions. Just to give you an idea of how it's going to look, I already have a mockup created thanks to Gemini, if I can find it. No, this is a template. Is this a template? Is this a blade? Yeah, no, I don't need a blade. I need the HTML, which should be around here somewhere. Here we go. This is the one. So let me grab this. In the meantime, I'm going to put this in play.tailwindcss.com so that we can have a visual representation of the mockup. All right, welcome back from the ads. As I was saying, this is the mockup of the application. We're going to have, like stated in the requirements, a big search bar at the top where you can filter by title or ingredients, a bunch of filters to filter by cuisine, difficulty, and prep time, a maximum of minutes, 15, 30, 60 minutes. And then we have a list of recipes in nice little cards. I don't see myself changing too much about the UI. The only thing that I would change is maybe put this in a collapsible accordion or a list that you can click and expand or collapse at will so that the list of recipes will always be visible along with the search bar. We'll see if we can put that in. That is a nice to have, but it's not a must. So yeah, this is what we are going to be creating. First thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to install TypeSense in my machine so you can see how easy it is to do. By the way, if you want to install TypeSense or follow along with me, the link will be in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. And by using that link, you are also supporting this channel. In fact, I am going to follow that link myself, although I can't use it here. 1 second. I'm going to type it out. Nope, that didn't work. Oh boy. FNF dev 3TM9Z. Oh, it's an R, not a T. So this is the GitHub repo for TypeSense. You will find all the links that you need here, including the documentation. So I'm going to go to the docs. Sorry about the white. They don't have a dark mode on this page. Let's go to the guide. Install TypeSense on a local machine. You have Debian RPM pre-built binaries for Linux and Mac OS on our downloads page. But I think, you can also use a Docker Compose machine. You can use Docker to run this, to run an instance of TypeSense if you like. That is also an option. But for me, since I'm on a Mac, I'm gonna go with the homebrew option. So let's copy this. Let's put it in a terminal. Get down here. We're gonna let that cook. No pun intended. And then we can do brew services start TypeSense server. The default API key is XYZ and the port is 8108. All of the config files are installed here. All of the logs are here in the data directory. It's under this folder. But that's on Intel CPUs. I'm using an Apple Silicon. What changed? Op Homebrew. Okay, so the folders are different on Apple Silicon Mac. All right. No, not install. Service start. And there you go. Successfully started TypeSense server with key XYZ. And is there anything else on this No, Linux, Windows, WSL, using a GPU even, which is optional. And you can do this to make sure that everything is running properly. So let's do that. And yeah, there it is. True. Everything is running. Everything is healthy. So at this point, we can begin with our new Laravel project. Let's create one. I'm going to cd into herd. And is herd running? Why do you have an exclamation? Oh, there's a PHP update available. Okay, never mind. Let's do PHP artisan. No, that's not what I want. Laravel new, sorry. And let's call this artisan chef. Let's just call it chef for short. Oh, I'm running on the wrong version of Laravel, as always. No, not Laravel, PHP. I'm sorry. Let's try that again. As I said before, we're going to use Livewire. So let's choose that as our starter kit. I'm going to use the starter kit, although the starter kit is also going to install the free version of Flux UI, which is not a problem. I'm just not going to use it. And also, there will be a lot of extra views, etc. I don't know if we should use it though. The thing is, if I choose not to use a starter kit, I'm gonna have to install Tailwind CSS by myself. So I really don't want to go through that. Literally, we can just not use the extra stuff. But just know that if you don't want to have too much bloat, which in all honesty is not that much bloat, you just have to go and manually delete the things that you know you don't need. But you can also go with a none. But then again, you have to install all of the stuff, Livewire and Tailwind CSS. So I'm gonna go with Livewire so that I can have everything just installed for me and not worry about it. Let's go with built-in authentication. That's fine. I'm not going to use Laravel Vault. Yes, that's okay. Run npm install and npm build. Yes, please. And that's it. Let's cd into chef and let's open it with Cursor. All right, first thing that we need to do is let's take care of the database layer, starting from the ground up. So let's create a new migration. We're going to create a new migration with a model and also a database seeder. Is there a way to create a seeder from the command line? I don't know. I don't remember. Let's not worry about it. For now, let's just do PHP artisan. And here's a tip. If you didn't know, you can do make model. And this is going to be the recipe model. And you can specify that you want a migration file with an M. You can also, if you need, put an F and that will create the, hold on, I know this, factory. It'll do a factory class for you. I'm not going to use factories. I'm going to use a database seeder for this. So I'm not going to include that. But if I do this, now we have the model class and a new migration called create recipes table. So let's open that one. So we need a title, ingredients. This is a string, this is text. This is going to be long text. We need cuisine. So let's start with these two, ingredients and title. We also need a text with ingredients and then cuisine, difficulty, and prep time. Oh my God. That's it. My keyboard is in the wrong place. There you go. Posture check. Although the prep time is an integer, not a string. That's basically the table. Now, let's work on the database seeder. I'm going to open the default database seeder that comes with Laravel. I'll give us a user. I'm gonna set that as me. And I believe I already have some code for the for the seeder provided by Gemini. Did I close that window? I think I did. Let me find it. I know it's here. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Database seeder. Here we go. Obviously, this is going to have very little records. The idea is that we are testing for showcasing ease of integration. We're not so much worried about performance, because with these little records, performance is going to be super fast. You can be sure. I don't know if sure is the word. Hold on. Wow, my brain is not working today. What is going on? Basically, you don't have to worry about performance. Performance is ensured by TypeSense. TypeSense gives you the peace of mind that you are using a search engine that is highly optimized. So that's not the focus of this. The focus of this project is to showcase again ease of integration with Laravel Scout. So I'm going to take this very simple array. What is going? Oh, you know what it is? I'm copying with Control C and trying to paste with Command V, which is that's what happens when you work on both Windows and Mac at the same time. Brain malfunctions. Oh, this one has instructions. We didn't create an instructions column, did we? We did not. Let's add one. We might want to add a display page for the recipe. Now, why is it using a for each? Isn't it true that I can just pass an array of arrays into a create and Laravel will take care of it? Let me see. No, we can use an insert instead of a create. You may use insert to you may insert several records at once by passing an array of arrays. Each array represents a record that should be inserted into the table. Yeah, let's do that. I don't like a for each. And I don't know if we need that truncate. What do we use that truncate for? Not in this page, huh? Maybe it's in definitely not used. Okay, I'm not gonna use it. Boink. All right, so it's title, cuisine, title. Ooh, look at that. Title and ingredients, that's better. Title, ingredients, cuisine, difficulty, and prep time. Title, cuisine, difficulty, prep time, ingredients, and instructions. That should be fine. I guess one way to find out is doing PHP artisan migrate dash seed. And we have an error. Let's see. Oh, what? Oh, we didn't import the recipe. We didn't import the recipe model. Okay, one more time. Now what? Unique constraint users email. Why? Oh, okay. It's because when the starter kit installed, it also ran the migrations and seeders. So there's already a user in the database, which means we don't need to create another one. One option here also could be separate the recipes seeder into its own class so that it does not collide with the user seeding operation. But for now, I'm just going to comment it out. And if I ever need to refresh the database from 0, I'll just come back here and uncomment that line. All right, so the table was already there. All that needed to happen was the seeding. And now we have a table full of data. I believe the ads are going to start in just a second, so we will be taking a break and then continue. For now, I'm just going to open Tinkerwell and see the data in the database. There you go. 21 records. We are good to go. Are you going to show ads at some point during today? There it is.
The stream is now paused for ads.
The next step is going to be installing Laravel Scout. So I'm going to prepare the documentation for these. Welcome back from the ads. Let's continue. We're going to continue with the next step, which is installing Laravel Scout, which is what integrates TypeSense into our application. For this, we need to follow a couple of requirements first. For TypeSense specifically, we're going to go through the documentation. TypeSense. It is a lightning fast open source search engine and supports keyword search, semantic search, geo search, vector search, all the search. You can self-host TypeSense or use TypeSense Cloud. We already mentioned all of this. You have links here if you want to use them, although I use my link, which is in the text in the description, and you can use exclamation point TypeSense or exclamation point TS if you don't want to type so much. So use that link. We need to install a third-party package. Copy this. All right, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now we need to set the Scout driver environment variable. That's a mouthful, wasn't it? And we need to put our typesense host and API key. So the host, since we're running it locally using brew, we're going to use localhost. The API key, the default when you run it locally is XYZ, and the driver. So let's copy this 3 keys. Let's go to our .env file. Is there anything related to Scout? No. So let's go to the end and paste those. There you go. Additional settings and schema definitions of your typesense collection can be found within your application's config scout.php configuration file. For more information regarding typesense, please consult typesense documentation. I'm going to open the documentation here, although I don't think build a search application. What are they using to build one here? PHP. We already have all of these. So I'm going to use the documentation along with some code that was already generated for me so that we can compare that to the official documentation. I believe here, this is the configuration. So is this big enough or is it too small? Let me make it bigger. We go to the typesense models array. Let's open this file real quick. Scout. Do we have a Scout? We don't have a Scout config. Wait, we haven't even installed Scout, have we? That'll be important. Hold on. I think I'm skipping a step. Installation. We need to run this. Composer require Laravel Scout. And we run the publish so that we have a configuration file, basically a configuration file. So let's copy that, paste it here again. Now we have scout.php. Now we need to add the Scout searchable trait to the model. In fact, let's do that right now. Find recipe.php. And down here, we're going to say what? Okay. Hey, I ran out of autocompletes. That's fine. I'll do it myself. Forgot to pay. You gotta pay up. This enables our model to be searchable. Now, as I mentioned before, I have some code for this, and this is in scout.php in the config folder. We have a typesense configuration with the API key, which by default is XYZ. We have a local host and port 8108 in our nodes and also our nearest node. We have configuration for timeout seconds, 2 by default. Let me hide this. We have a health check interval in seconds, 30 by default. The number of retries, 3 by default. And the retry interval per second in seconds, 1 by default. And we also have an example configuration array. We're going to use our own and compare it to the real one. So we go to model settings. Well, that's different. We still use the recipe class, collection schema, fields, name and type, and also facet, which is stated in their documentation, which I already lost. Facet equals true. So for each field, we define its name, type, and whether it's a facet field. A facet field allows us to cluster the search results into categories, and let us drill into each of those categories. We will be seeing faceted results in action at the end of this guide. So basically, it's the filters. You have search terms and also filter terms. In our case, the facet columns are, if I can find it, we have the title, ingredients, those are facet false. We can also omit the facet thingy, but cuisine, which is a filter option, difficulty, and prep time, they are all facet. And also prep time, we are using the sort option. So we can sort by prep time as well. I don't know if that's going to be a feature in this app, but it's good to know that you have the option to do that. Search parameters, is that also this portrait here. Yeah, search parameters, query by, and the fields that we are going to search against. In this case, title and ingredients. So the first part is basically this defining what fields are going to comprise the schema on TypeSense, what kind of type or data type we are going to use on each of those, and whether we want to group by or sort by those columns. And then the search parameters is, okay, what are we going to use to search by? I think this is good. I'm going to copy all of this. Is that the right? Okay, there. All right, since we are not going to use facet on title, let's just remove it. And also from ingredients so that it's simpler. And then for the ones that we want to use for filters, we keep it as true. Like I said, we're not gonna sort by any means in this case. So I don't know if we could, I'm gonna keep it just for informational purposes so that you know whenever you look at this code, you see, oh, I can sort by that. Maybe you can dive more into documentation about sorting with TypeSense. It's not gonna be part of this project though. I think that's pretty much it. And also we're not gonna max our total results in this case. Leave that commented out. So that's configuration check. Now we need to prepare our model. Let me see, how do we do that? Configuring model indexes. We don't have an index, but we do need the searchable array. I do believe we also have some code for that. And in this case, yeah, let's just run with the official documentation. We just turn our entire model into an array. I don't know which one is best. Do we go by, I guess we can just prepare an array like this, because if we do a to array like this, it's going to include more columns that we want, that we are not necessarily searching by. So I think I'd rather go with this, but that indentation is horrendous. So let's go to the recipe model. We're going to create function to searchable array. And let's paste this. ID must be a string for TypeSense. That's actually something I didn't know. So we have ID, title, cuisine, difficulty, prep time, ingredients. We are not going to use instructions in this searchable array as well. Once you do that, pushing indices, batch import. We could do a batch import so that now that we have records in our database, we need to push those records into our TypeSense database. So we're going to use this PHP artisan scout import command. Scout provides an import command that you may use to import all of your existing records into your search indexes. And that should be okay. Let's see. We have an error. Parameter fields is required. Parameter fields is required. It's right there. What am I missing? So we're gonna cut it here. I don't know what the problem is on the fields. That is the TypeSense is asking for the fields key in the configuration. Laravel is not providing it for some reason. I'm going to figure out why. Maybe I'm missing something very obvious in documentation, but by next session, which is Wednesday, I'll promise I'll try to have an answer to that, and we can continue setting up everything that we need for the search page. I think we're gonna move right into the Livewire component and the mock-up of the page, and then we will add all of the functionality to that component and finalizing with the actual search functionality. So yeah, the programming section is gonna end here, and we're gonna continue on Wednesday.